So for those teams that aren't involved in the semi-finals, the season is over, which means it is time for Mad Monday. Now, the sides that missed out this year are the Dragons, the Raiders, Bulldogs, Souths, Warriors, Tigers, Titans and Knights. Out of those teams, who do you think is going to be the big improver for next year?
Oh, it's hard to say. I mean, like, obviously, you look at the top 8 now, you know that Melbourne's going to be there, the Bronx and the Roosters and Cronulla. But all the other 4, I reckon, you could easily swap like that, you know what I mean? Like, I think the Knights are going to come up. I think the Warriors could be anything all the time. Canberra's going to be there. Like, it's very hard. It's very hard to put a...
Weren't the Warriors disappointing again this year, though? For a side that they've got, if you look at the team that they've got on paper, for them to underperform yet again, it's...
I mean, the Tigers have bought... What, they bought...
Russell Packer. They got
Russell Packer, Madaleno, Josh Reynolds.
Yeah,
they've bought really, really well. So you can easily swap... You can easily swap about at least three of the current top 8 now and put them in the bottom bit, you know, because look how hard it is to make the 8.
Yeah.
We were sitting there, we didn't know until yesterday afternoon who was our top 8. So it's getting harder and harder every single year, but you can always guarantee that there's about 3 or 4 of them people that are in there now that are always going to be in there because of their consistency and the culture of the club. But everything else is up for grabs. Like, I just don't understand. I don't know who is going to come up. You would have thought Canberra was going to be in there this year.
Yeah.
You would have thought the Warriors is always going to be a chance. You never thought the Knights or the Tigers, but anyone else up from that, you'd think can make the 8. The Dogs with certainties to make the 8 at the start. St George with certainties to make the 8. I mean, like, there's so many teams you could easily swap in. So, like, you can't really put a finger on it, but
I think
there's definitely going to be this top 8 now is not going to be the top 8 for next year.
No, I think South, they were crying out for outside backs. Gagai is a massive signing for them.
Yeah.
I can't see them having 2 bad years in a row. So
3. That'll be 3. Yeah. I mean, like, just having... I mean, they didn't plan on George and Tom having such low years, and the injuries on some players.
Big Sammy.
And Big Sammy. Sammy's just taken the whole brunt of that team. Like, he's 30 tackles, 20 hit-ups. He's playing with busted ribs. You know, he's got to play for England during the year. He's got to lead the club on and off the field. So just if his brothers step up to where they should be, because 2 years ago, George Burgess was the best forward in the world. You know, and obviously they've had a few injury runs, and Tom himself, but, you know, he just needs a little bit of help. And with Reynolds being injured all year, you know, Sutto... I think they should re-sign Sutto.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, like, Sutto's the heart and soul of the club.
Yeah, no, not just yet. You know, he deserves to play 300 games at that
100%.
club. You know,
but it's not like he deserves it. Like, he deserves it because of his merits on the field.
Yeah, of course.
Because it's not nothing's given to you. They don't give a shit. They'll cut you some club.
Yeah,
They don't care.
He's had plenty of clubs in the past chase him.
I know,
He's been
but I
loyal
mean,
to that
he
club.
just...
He started off with them when they first came back into the competition.
It'll be the biggest blow up if he doesn't get another contract.
Yeah.
South Sydney, the borough will go crazy.
There was some talk today that they're looking at him at the Titans, and that if the Titans offered him a job and Souths wouldn't stand in his way.
Yeah, I think you touched on it last week. One of them, the coaches that...
The hit and run
hit and run sort of coaches. I think he might be one of them. He comes in, he sets things up really well, he gets them to a place where they really quick, you know, where they're a top 8 team, then a top 4 team, then they win the comp. You know, I think he might be one of them sort of coaches. He's not one of them coaches that are going to stick around for 15, 16 years at a club. I think maybe, you know, the writing's on the wall for him. Maybe he should actually look for a new start himself before he doesn't make 3 semi-finals, before he doesn't make top 8 3 times in a row. You know, so I think, you know, maybe the players are getting a little bit stale of him. It's the same sort of setup every week, every game, same game plan. You know, maybe players are getting sick of him.
Do you reckon he's gone to Mad Monday? Is he there looking after
There's
the
no
boys?
South aren't have a Mad Monday.
No, they
They're
didn't
not.
have a Mad Monday today.
So is that a concept? I mean, it's copped plenty of shit in the past because people are saying that, you know, why are grown men dressing up like Thor, for example? But is it dying? I mean, I don't personally, as long as it's well controlled, I don't have a problem.
I can speak for just say, well, playing with the Bulldogs for many years, and then with the Roosters, some high profile clubs, you're always going to get in trouble there, and people are always going to follow you. But, you know, being in Newcastle and the Cowboys, they don't you know, you get a designated place, a pub that's going to look after you. No one else can come in. That's just your joint for the whole time. There's no trouble. There's no cameras. People don't know where you are. But I mean, like, if you're going to be dressing like that, walking down the main street of Sydney, and you invite the media there to take photos of you and all this kind of crap, I mean, like, it's not a good look for...
Oh, it's tradition.
It is tradition, but I mean, why isn't South doing it?
Well, I mean, it's just they've chosen not to do it. You know, it's tradition.
Yeah, I'm not going against tradition. I'm all for Mad Monday, but I'm just saying that you just need to be smarter these days.
You've got to be
because everyone
well-behaved.
is going to... So I don't think Mad Monday is really... I think it's dying because you've got to be well-behaved. You've got to do all the right things, you know what I mean? Like, you can still dress up, but I mean, these guys would be there for like 5 or 6 hours, and then they'll probably go home or probably do whatever they're doing.
No more nudie runs.
I mean, like the Mad Mondays that we've been involved in have been totally different than the ones now.
What was about? I mean, obviously, when you won the comp, that would have gone for a fair period of time. But what's the best Mad Monday you had?
Oh
man,
every single one.
I mean,
I think the best one was when Will had an afro and then tried to jump a cab and thought he wouldn't be recognised.
There's been a couple. I mean, like most Mad Mondays are really good because if you get to the semi-finals or grand final, like, you know, rep teams get announced, people get emotional. You know, it's a great time to reflect. You know, the coaches show up most of the time, apart from Jason Taylor, who shouldn't have shown up.
That's why South got rid of Mad Monday.
He shouldn't have shown up. But you know, most clubs just sit there and you reflect on the year, and it's more about that. Reflecting on the year and how good you can get next year. There's players leaving. Obviously, the Bulldogs are going to have a few emotional moments there with James Graham leaving. You don't know who else is going to leave. There's a little bit of turmoil in the club. You know, so every single club that I've been at, there's always been that fact where maybe I was leaving. You know,
there's been a fair few Mad Mondays where you've been leaving clubs, seeing as you've
so
played.
I just don't turn up to them. I don't turn up to the Mad Monday. I just leave. But I mean, it's always an emotion. There's always some sort of emotional part where some players leaving, some players getting picked for Australia for the first time. You get picked in all these other little camps, and you know, for England, New Zealand, there's always something happening all the time. There's never a dull moment on Mad Monday. Everyone's happy. Everyone has a great time. You know, obviously. There's been a few stuff-ups, but like...
But it's not unusual in a workplace for people to get together with their co-workers, and essentially, as a professional footballer, that's what your teammates are. They're your co-workers, and to have a few drinks and relax after, you know, like a end-of-year party or whatever. So I don't have a problem with
the concept. It's like a Christmas party.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
Except it goes for a week.
Well, I mean, think about how long the season's gone.
You've been grinding since November.
I mean,
These players
even if you haven't made the 8, you deserve to have a drink. You know, you've trained your ass off all year. It's been disappointing. Go and let your hair down.
Yeah, I think I'm all for Mad Monday. I don't think it's ever going to die. It'll just be a lot more
controlled.
A lot more.
It's
a controlled environment.
Mad Monday.
Because it's not mad. It's not. You know what? It's not Mad Monday anymore.
Yeah.
It's just a bunch of blokes, like as you said, like a Christmas party. Everybody getting together and having a good time. Because you know, if it was a Mad Monday,
messy Monday.
It's. I don't know.
Who cares?
Can't fucking talk much on it.
There we go.
Yeah.
So the NRL have just announced the grand final entertainment is American superstar Macklemore, who I had to be told who he was, to be honest. But anyway, he's been picked, and it has created some controversy, basically because people think he's a rapper and he's something, and the NRL entertainment needs to be good at halftime. What do we think? Macklemore, good?
Oh, I think it's awesome. I think it puts the NRL grand final on the map, on the international stage, because I think people have got to stop looking at it as just a grand final. It's a spectacle. You know, there's over like 80, 90,000 people that attend the game, so they're trying to make it Super Bowl-esque, you know what I mean? So Macklemore's a superstar. I mean, he's an international superstar, so I don't see anything wrong with it. You know, obviously you're just going to get your traditionalists that just want to hear Jimmy Barnes or Billy Idol, who he killed it in 2002. But
is he the best ever grand final entertainment? I mean, you talk about entertainment. That's the most entertaining thing I've ever seen. They brought him out on the hovercraft, and then he stood there.
Yeah.
How bad was he?
It was
embarrassing.
It was the best.
But back to Macklemore.
Just get Tina Turner back.
Is she still alive, Tina?
She's about 80.
She's 123.
But
I
just think Macklemore. I think the NRL should be applauded. You know, they'd gone out of out of their realm. I mean, away from Jessica Mauboy and all these sort of Aussie people, and gone international. You know, put the NRL Grand Final on the map.
Well, Keith Urban was last year. Sort of missed
He
you.
sucked.
He sucked, righto. Well, I mean, look, I'm not a country music fan, but like I guess he's a big name internationally.
Yeah,
but I feel
he's
like
huge in America.
Macklemore's massive. He'd be good.
He'd be good.
Yeah.
He's got-
Not everybody 60 years old is going to go to the Grand Final. You've got a lot of young kids who love Macklemore. You look at the demographic of people. It's going to range from 5 years old to 7 years old. So just deal with it and enjoy it, embrace it. You know what I mean? It's just it's a day of like just celebrations and everything like that. Grand Final. So just celebrate this.
Is
I
the
don't
grand
see
final-
why we have to fucking whinge about everything.
Is it an Arvo game this year, or is it the Twilight game?
I mean, they've gone back to 7:30 games.
Yeah.
I mean, like they tried the little Twilight game, but you know, 7:30. It's a long day out there. You're going to see the NYC Intrust Super Cup. You know, the Queensland Cup. All these sort of football games. It's a great day for entertainment. Bring your kids, everything like that. You know, you've been buying your grand final tickets from last year. It doesn't matter who's going to play. I mean, like they don't really care who the halftime entertainment is anyway. Everyone's either going to go to the toilet or go to the bar. But some young kids are going to be standing there, and they're all going to know Macklemore.
What song? What's he going to sing?
Thrift Shop.
Thrift Shop.
You know that.
I know that.
Yeah, there you
I
go.
know that
You've been
song.
shopping there.
This Saturday sees the Wallabies play against South Africa in Perth in the first game since they put in a really strong showing against the All Blacks in Dunedin. The irony of this game is that the Western Force, which have been cut from the competition, are the home team in Perth. There's talk that the Wallabies fans that are Force supporters won't go out and support the national team because they're pissed off with what's happened. Do you think that will happen?
It's not the smartest move from the ARU, and they could easily move the game. You know, this was happening months ago, so they could easily move the game to the SFS, Suncorp, somewhere on the East Coast. You know, like you can see why the Western Australian supporters are pissed off. They've just spent $95 million on a new stadium, on an upgrade. So, you know, you can see why they'd be filthy. I mean, like, hint, hint to the NRL, go take a team over to the Western Australia and you've got a free stadium. So
The Western Reds did real well over there.
it doesn't matter. Every time we take a game over there, we get 25,000 plus to a game. So if the government's going to spend $95 million on a stadium, which is going to be used for nothing, the AFL's probably going to take some initiative and just grab it and start a team over there.
We, just at the NRL, with grassroots, we've just registered about 22 rugby league clubs over there. So the game will grow over there. And I think it's a great opportunity for the NRL to snap that area.
I think it's a terrible decision by the ARU. I mean, if you look at the Force had their best ever season in Super Rugby. They finished second in the competition in terms of the Australian Conference. So you've kicked out the second best team. They've got really rusted on supporters. I mean, they've watched the Western Force go over there and get flogged for years to finally get a team that they can be proud of, and the ARU step in and remove them. Now, Andrew Forrest's basically come out and said that he is prepared to put in between 10 and 50 million, and they've knocked that back. Andrew Forrest is now coming out and saying that the ARU had made the decision before they even started the process because they were scared of legal action.
Yep.
And Andrew Forrest is a man who usually gets what he wants. So it's a really interesting move at the moment.
Is it to do with TV rights? Is that why they got rid of them?
Essentially, yeah. Look, basically SANZAR, which is the body that runs it, have said that they needed to reduce the teams to 15.
Yep.
The Australians were told to get rid of 1 and the South Africans were told to get rid of 2. The South African 2 teams have now moved into the English comp,
Right.
but obviously we don't have the facility. Now the ARU saying they can't afford 5 teams, which is probably true, but they can afford it if Andrew Forrest gives them $50 million.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I just think it's a backwards move, and I hope that the Wallaby supporters over there go out and support them, because the Wallabies did a really good job the week before.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think if you do go for a show, I mean, it's all hearsay to sell papers and all this kind of crap, but I mean, like, if you go for the Wallabies, you've already bought your ticket, you're going to go to the game. They're probably going to get 30, 40 plus, you know what I mean? So you still got to understand, it is AFL territory there. It's hard to break into that market, and I doubt any code will, but it seems that there is a chance there for a rugby league team. The NRL's seriously got to have a look at it, you know. So obviously we've got to look after our own backyard here first. But I mean, like, if we want to make it a NRL National Rugby League, there is no national game unless there's a team over in Perth.
Interestingly enough, with the RU, in terms of what I think
I'll
is
actually come out of retirement and play
in Perth.
Yep.
Will you? They'd have to sign you first.
40 kilos.
The Women's Rugby World Cup has just finished. It was played in Ireland. The ARU have done nothing really to promote the women's game. I mean, the Australian women's sevens side are the current Olympic champions.
Yep.
Ever since that, there was a groundswell after it, but it really didn't get followed up. The Women's Rugby World Cup, won by New Zealand against England in the semi-final.
Surprise.
I know, they win everything. They're the best. But the semi-final was shown live in England, and 1.1 million people in England watched that game, and 3.4 million people in France watched that game of women's rugby semi-finals. Now, how are we not jumping on the back of that? I don't understand. You watched the game.
I don't understand. I did watch the game. I mean, like, I just can't believe the progression that they've taken in all forms, rugby league, union, all women's sports have just gone next level. Like, I watched some of the games. I mean, like, they're brutal. You know, I mean, like that Portia Woodman, she sits on the wing for the All Blacks. She is an absolute gun.
Yeah.
I mean, like, she scores tries from anywhere. She runs over people. I mean, the scrums that they're packing are proper, you know what I mean? Like just the professionalism that they've gone to in the last 5 or 6 years, just say with all women's codes is, I don't know who to thank or who to go to, you know what I mean? Like, it's just the development of the women, I think, because they can obviously see a goal where they can actually play for the All Blacks, they can play for Australia. You know, so young girls, you know, they're not dreaming of being netballers or anything like that. They want to be rugby league players or rugby union players now. And there's it's professional. So they can see, you know, you can actually reach the pinnacle of the game. You know, them girls just won them women just won the World Cup. You know, it's the pinnacle of the game. You know, so.
And if you look at the RU, again, they've done nothing to promote the game. I mean, we sit here. I know a few of the under sevens. I don't like.
Did you even know that the World Cup was on, the Women's World Cup?
I did, but I'm a rugby
Yeah, but
tragic,
I sort of
you
knew.
wouldn't
But I
if
mean,
you didn't.
like,
Ren, you wouldn't know.
I had no idea.
Yeah, and you look at the fact that the sevens had such a strong following, and there's some really, really good players in that side.
Yeah.
And there's some that transition across to the 15-side game, but there was no publicity. I mean, I would like to think that if any of the women's rugby players want to come on our show and tell us about it, we'd love to have them.
Like rugby league or rugby union. I mean, like, I think, you know, shout out. No, I mean, hang on. The rugby league in the NRL now. You know, the NRL deserves a hand because they're promoting the women's game so big. The women are playing before the men in an Anzac Test. They're playing on Channel 9. You know, there's a New South Wales Queensland game. It's not called State of Origin, but it is State of Origin, but it's not played before us. So they're getting a lot of play time.